morning, everybody. This is Dr. Jay Casper, your co-host with functional strength specialist Dominic Perlo, and our special guest here, Ali Fatahali. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And you're listening to the Elite Performance Team Podcast, episode number 6. If this is your first time listening, thanks again for joining us. You can see here we're using our Normatec compression boots. Ali's training for triathlon. Dominic's training for entrance into the Boston Marathon. And myself, I'm just training for long distance cycling. You can follow our podcast on Facebook at Elite Performance Team. You can also go to our website, which is www.eliteperformanceteam.org. It gives you direct access to our podcast as well. So again, today we have a Renaissance man, Ali Fatahali. Ali, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks for having me, by the way.
Absolutely.
I'm super excited to be here. My name is Ali Fatahali, and I'm a Renaissance man, so to speak. Thank you, Jan. My background is in software development. I'm an animator, software developer, building apps and stuff like that. But I got myself into fitness a few years back as a way of being able to keep myself in shape and attain some goals in life. You know, I found that a great way of being able to be disciplined in life is to set up a nice fitness program for yourself and get yourself out there and do it, and then surround yourself with people that are going to keep you accountable and moving all the time. And so I got into this crazy world of triathlon. This is my first year in it, and I'm super, super excited to be here in these boots.
Yeah, and it's awesome that you're saying that because it goes along with Dominic's quote of the day that he's going to say in just a moment. Dom, what's your quote of the day?
Quote of the day: 99% of failures come from people who have a habit of making excuses.
And that sounds exactly what kind of what Ali's talking about too, because it all comes down to habits. Your habit can either be making excuses or just making a path to your basically to succeed. So there's one group of the population, which unfortunately is the majority, constantly making excuses why they can't do this, why they can't do that, it's too hot, it's too cold, instead of making an excuse to succeed. What event are you actually training for, Ali?
Currently this year I decided to get myself into triathlons, so I hired a coach and I started doing sprint triathlons just to get myself acclimated to the wonderful world of tri. I had a running background and weightlifting background. Before that I was a snowboarder and everything like that. So I decided to do sprint triathlons this year just so I can understand the world of triathlon, figure out how to ride a bike and swim properly with good technique. The running kind of came very easily for me because I did it for a few years prior to tri. And then basically, I think maybe next year I'll start getting into like some Olympics, and maybe we'll start talking about Ironmans. But we're not there yet. I'm going to take it nice and slow. My approach is to take things slowly, be conservative. I'm a little bit older, so I don't want to beat up my body or anything like that. So everything is on a steady incline, nothing too crazy or anything like that.
Doc, you're a pretty accomplished triathlete, Ironman. What advice would you give Ali with his goals that he has in mind?
I think it's very, very smart to take it easy, getting up to the higher distances. You have to build, and the body acclimates better if you take it slow. These people who go from sprint to Ironman, it's not really the most intelligent thing. And you made a comment, we're all a little bit older. We have to treat our body right.
Yeah.
It took me 4 years to go from sprint to full Ironman.
Oh, really?
And in 2 years, I went from sprint to half Ironman.
Okay.
And I think that was a pretty good scale of time. It definitely wasn't too fast.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. With me training even for sprints became kind of hard because I went from just running maybe 3 or 4 times a week, 25, 30 miles a week of running, to adding the swimming and the biking and then some cross training in between with like lifting and stuff like that just to keep my body strong. And that ramp up, even though I'm doing sprints, like I could feel it on my body. 6 days a week of training, only 1 day off, keeping things moving, trying to do things on tired legs. And like I felt like there was no reason for me to get into longer distances or anything like that at this point.
Absolutely.
I come across it quite frequently too. People get get really excited doing the sprint triathlons, and it's usually like springtime, then they get so excited that by the end of the season, around like September, October, they're hunting for like a half Ironman of some sort.
Yeah.
And they just don't understand that if you don't build up the foundation and the base miles, your body's going to break down. It's all about creating some strength. Dominic and I, we do functional movements, screens here in the office to pick out those weaknesses, because it's easy to pull out a 5K. You know, it's easily to improve upon that. Even do a 10K, but then when you start graduating up to doing something like a half marathon, if your core is weak, injuries are going to pop up. And now if you're thinking about doing an Ironman, which is basically a half marathon, you're doing a ton of cycling, you're also throwing the swimming component in there too. All those weaknesses will show up eventually with injury. And then it's like you were gung-ho about health, and now you're going to go on a decline because you have to work through an injury as well.
Yep.
Don, what was your biggest issue that you had when you went from going from sprint tries to doing full-on Ironman?
For me, I started with a running, cycling background. The swim was the most challenging thing for me. And I can recall my first triathlon, I almost drowned. And it was right here in Long Branch, New Jersey. And I thought, I could swim 400, it's a quarter mile, I could swim 400 meters, it's not a big deal. Well, I got out in the ocean, it was late September, and as you know here, late September, we get pretty good rip currents in the Jersey Shore. I got out there, I turned to come back, and I felt myself being pulled out to the ocean. And I panicked. I wasn't a good swimmer, I panicked. I waved, jet ski came over, I held on to a jet ski for a minute, then a kayak, made myself my way back in, I was okay. And I made up for it on the bike and the run for sure. Those were definitely my better disciplines in triathlon. And then I just focused on swimming. So swimming was certainly the most challenging. But injury prevention is the hardest part of any long distance race is getting to the start line, healthy, right, uninjured. That's the most important thing. So those two things, staying injury free and the swim.
Yeah. And I was going to say to your point with that. Swimming with me has also been really hard, and same thing, panic attacks, and always in a new environment and stuff like that always freaks me out. But I feel like that's also part of the sport as well too, to push yourself.
Definitely.
So that's probably the one thing I've appreciated more than doing any of the distances or anything like that, is getting out there and actually doing the things that are difficult for me, you know, like swimming. Like, I'm not a swimmer, I'm a big bone guy that doesn't float well, you know, so like you put me in the water, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here.
We're sitting here in these Normatec boots, and Dominic and I are lucky enough to be in this office, and we use a lot of biooptimization tools. So basically when we train hard, we can put our bodies in a position to heal a lot quicker. If you would have saw Dom's Facebook post the other day, he was in front of an infrared light, but he's also wearing like these halo neuroplasticity headphones. What other biooptimization tools are you using to basically recover quicker for injury?
Well, currently one of the biggest things in supplementation right now, I'm using exogenous ketones.
Yeah, that's great.
New to the game with exogenous ketones. I was doing a ketogenic diet for many years. But these have really helped me kind of on the endurance side. I felt like I was getting really flat on my fasted workouts. By the way, I love doing my workouts fasted. I adopted the low-carb keto lifestyle a few years ago, and I've seen great returns as far as weight loss and stuff like that. But what I noticed was I wasn't getting top-end performance. I wasn't getting the pop in my sprints. I wasn't getting the longevity on my runs when I was fasted. So I decided maybe it was just I wasn't having enough carbs. Dr. Jan introduced me to some exogenous ketones back in March. Started taking those as part of my morning routine, and all my workouts are usually in the morning or early afternoon sometimes, but it's still in my system. And boom, it was like a shot, and I was able to keep my workouts going and stuff like that. On the device side, I use PMF.
Sure.
That is huge. It's part of my regular routine. I've got a little small Flex Pulse PMF device that I use at home, and I use that on anything from like, I have a little plantar fasciitis issue, so I use that on my foot, I use it on my back. I also use it when I meditate at night.
Sure.
I'll take one of the pads, one of the coils, and put it around the back of my head, and I'll put it on the setting for meditation, which I believe is 2.5 kilohertz.
Yep.
And I use that as almost like a stimulant within my meditation program to be able to get me right into that meditative state. So I get into a flow state with meditation super quick using PMF.
Yeah, we're very big into training your brain and training your body. Was there an app that you use for meditation? Because I personally use Headspace.
Headspace number one.
I think it's 122 days consecutive that I'm using it. I never start a day without it. Dom, how about you? I know that you meditate as well. Is there an app that you use, or is there any device that you use to meditate with?
I used Headspace for quite some time. I go back and forth. I go between Headspace. I'll even jump on YouTube and I'll just put in guided meditation.
Yep.
And depending on the time I want to meditate, so if it's a 10-minute meditation, I'll put a 10-minute, 20-minute, whatever I have time for or feel that day. So that's how I go about my meditation.
That's awesome.
Now with training, we're putting all these miles in. We're training every day. We're doing things to put our bodies in a better position to heal quicker with supplementation and biooptimization tools like the Normatec Boost, the PMF mat, things of that nature. How do you find time to fit this training in? Because before we came in, we always have our small talk before. You're talking about basically you're hitting a lot of training miles right now, and you're at a point where you want to basically in a couple months just scale it back and just do something else for a little bit. How do you go ahead and balance the training and you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business, it's a fantastic business, you've done some awesome work for us. How do you find that work, training, life balance?
Well, getting up super early in the morning helps. I'm usually up around like 5 o'clock in the morning, but I also make it's almost like religious. I have to get 8 hours of sleep. Sometimes I don't get that because of client needs or projects that need to be due at certain times and stuff like that. But ultimately, here's my number one thing. I don't do my own training program. I actually hired a coach, affordable, and the game plan was I needed somebody else to think of my own training plans. So she puts my training plans together for me every week, so I don't have to think about that. I just show up to the workouts, and that's pretty much it. Number two is my lifestyle is pretty interesting as far as meals are concerned. I don't eat. I fast most of the day, so I only eat one meal a day, so I'm not spending my mornings preparing like a lot of big meals or anything like that. It's usually a cup of coffee with some supplements. During the day, I don't eat much other than maybe some cashews if I had a pretty heavy workout or something like that. And then towards the end of the day, I'll have one big meal, and my meals are pretty consistent. It's a big giant salad with a lot of greens in it, and then I throw some proteins on top of it. And then every once in a while, if I have a long workout, I'll do some type of like carbohydrate. So my food efficiency is pretty efficient. I'm usually eating the same type of meals every day, less decision on that. I wake up super early. Well, not super early, but I'm up around 5 because sometimes I have to get to work a little bit earlier because of my clients and everything like that. And then I have a schedule set, super disciplined with my trainer and my coaches to make sure that I'm always on schedule and I don't try to free-form training. Like today, a bunch of my friends are going up to the lake to do lake swimming. It was my day off. They're like, let's go to the lake, let's go to the lake. I said, you know what? It's my scheduled day off. I'm taking the day off.
Sure.
That's it.
And Dom, you have a pretty active lifestyle yourself besides training. You got 2 sons, you're married, you have other things too. How do you find that balance, or what's your strategy to find that work-life training balance?
Ali said it. When you want to achieve something, you need to set the time for it. You need to be disciplined with your time. And the easiest way to get anything done is to wake up early. There's nothing going to get in your way. If you say I'm going to work out after work and you get out of work or work runs late or whatever the case is, you're not going to do it. So get up early, get your training done, and it's done. You can forget about it for the day. So that's basically what I do. I get up early, take care of my training nice and early in the morning, and my day just flows perfectly from there. I don't necessarily meal prep a ton. I purchase things that I can quickly throw together, and so I always bring food to work. So today I have a spinach salad with some grilled chicken that I grilled over the past few days, some leftovers, and I make it very easy on myself, definitely.
I have one little point that I wanted to make. Also, I don't know if I read this or heard this on the podcast, but it was a piece of advice that somebody gave. And they said, always do the hardest thing first in your day. And whether that's going to be a workout or something like taxes, something that's pulling at you. And I realized this, if you've got something like, even if it's a phone call you got to make to somebody that you've been putting off for the past 2 or 3 days, that little burden is going to be sitting on the back of your head, pulling at you, pulling at your processor all the time. So the idea is, make a list of priorities in your day, the night before or early in the week for the whole entire week, and take care of the hardest things first. Once you relieve yourself of those burdens, you realize that you have more processor to attack other things. So I don't know where I heard that from, but I've kind of employed that in my work ethic and what I do as far as training and stuff like that, and it seemed to have helped a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you too. That's why I'm up every day at 4, and I noticed that I love hanging out with my wife. We don't have kids. I have a great dog named Simone, but it's like I have a lot of responsibilities here. You know, I'm also a business owner, so it's not just coming in here, treating patients, getting them better, but there's marketing, there's billing, there's a whole bunch of making sure you're not just sowing your seeds, but you're tending your garden so the business continues growing. So I know if I wake up at 4 o'clock, I start my day with meditating, then I write my gratitude journal, then I go ahead and read a book for a good hour, non-fiction, usually something where I can get some knowledge. Then our exercise. My exercise is pretty much doing some movement activities, maybe some kettlebell swings, things of that nature, even like pull-ups. And then I do stuff around the house. You know, I do some chores around the house, get the blood flow going that way. And then I get on the bike and I ride for 2 or 3 hours, and basically same thing as you guys do, in a fasted state. So this way I get all this done, and by the time I get home at 9 o'clock, I got pretty much all the big stuff done. Then I can go to work, and I can have what's called present time consciousness with every single person I interact with, because I don't have to, oh man, I gotta do this when I get home. I already did it this morning. I don't have to go out on a bike ride because I already did it this morning. I gotta find time to meditate. I already did it this morning. So besides doing the, what other supplements like are you taking? Are you taking like a multivitamin? Are you taking anything like omega-3s or anything? Or are you trying to get majority of your nutrients through food? What's your strategy?
Well, I'll give you the whole spectrum. So I do a green supplement in the morning, Green Vibrance, which has got all sorts of different types of. It's like almost like a multivitamin panel, but it's also got some adaptogens in it. It's got some stuff for probiotics, some immune stuff and stuff like that. So basically, one shot of that, and then I also throw creatine into that as well.
Sure.
So I have creatine in my greens. I take a omega supplement because I don't like to eat that much fish, and my wife hates when I cook fish in the house. So I take an omega-3 supplement. I take L-carnitine because I'm on a high-fat diet in the mornings. So I'll take L-carnitine, and that helps the fat utilization. It's good for cardio health and everything like that as well too. There's a lot of studies on that, so you guys can go look that up as well. I take a supplement that's got some biotin, B12, B6, vitamin A and vitamin E in it, and that's for skin and hair. And I take ashwagandha in the morning. Yeah. And then I also, my first cup of coffee in the morning has got collagen protein and exogenous ketones in it. My collagen protein is from Primal Kitchens, vanilla, and I forget the brand that you recommended for. It's just on subscription at this point, so it's just coming in. But it's super good. So that's my morning routine. And then midday, I usually have my mushroom coffee, which is a blend of chaga and lion's mane. And when I'm looking for that like extra boost, like if I have a long project, that's something I'm working on for a few hours, and I'm like going in on a 3-hour work block, I'll take either the powdered supplement of Alpha Brain, which is like the liquid, the powder you put in liquid and you stir up, or I'll take 2 Alpha Brains on top of my my mushroom tea, and that's just like my brain on like. And like basically the idea behind that is I can get a good 3 or 4 hour block, and I'm good. I usually have like an espresso shot midday, or 2. Sometimes sometimes I'll meet a couple of buddies for espresso shots in the middle of the day. And then after that, I'll have green tea in the mid-afternoon. The L-theanine will kind of bring things down from the coffee that I had. Even the ketones are kind of got me wired. If I have a lot of like the mushroom teas and stuff like that, Alpha Brain's got the glucosamine in it, so that gets you wired. So I'll take the green tea sometime around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and that gets me focused for the nighttime hours. By 5 o'clock, I'm cooking. By 6 o'clock, I'm eating. By 7 o'clock, I'm sitting on the couch reading a book. That's pretty much how my...
Sounds like a lot of coffee. So me and Dominic are both fans of coffee. I have a triple espresso every morning and another coffee at the end of the day. How about yourself, Dom? Do you put anything in your coffee?
I drank my coffee black for 4 years until I started doing a fat adapted ketogenic diet. So I currently use heavy cream in my coffee, and occasionally I do a mushroom coffee. And actually, Doc, yesterday we were just talking about the ketogenic coffee I have here. Doc, what'd you say it tasted like?
I actually could tell there was a hint of bone broth in it. I particularly care for bone broth in it. I don't think the ingredients, I don't think bone broth was an actual ingredient, but I tasted bone broth.
Did it have bone broth?
I gotta look at the ingredient. I don't believe it does, but I also think that the doc didn't have the right mixture of water. He had too much water, so the flavor was probably diluted a bit. So I think we're gonna experiment a little bit today. Put some bone broth in there. Why not?
Well, that wraps up another Elite Performance Team podcast. I'm Dr. Jay Kasper, your co-host with Dominic Carrillo. I want to thank Ali for joining us and sharing his experience in health, fitness, and bio-optimization. Ali, how can people find you on social media? Do you have a website? How can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at Ali Fatali, ALIFATHALI. I'm on Facebook as well, so you can find me there. LinkedIn at Ali Fatali as well. And if you ever need anything in digital marketing, animation, software development, or anything like that, you can look up my company, visualmotioninteractive.com. We do all sorts of crazy fun stuff in the digital world.
And you can see an example of some of his work on our New York Chiropractic and Sports Recovery website, I believe, and on our Facebook page too. If you like what you hear and you want more info, follow us on our Facebook page, which is Elite Performance Team, or visit our website at www.eliteperformanceteam.org. You can find this and our previous episodes on our website, and you can also find it on iTunes starting next week. Until next week, train your brain, train your body.